Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Popeye's Scary Good new Freddy Fazbear Box has garlic palm tenders and cheesy bites with marinara sauce. Try it before it's too late. And see Five Nights at Freddy's 2, only in theaters. Love that chicken from Popeyes. Limited time at participating U.S. restaurants.
His name is Joe Concha. He never claims to be a psychic or a fortune teller. You've heard of the amazing Kreskin. Now, here's the amazing Concha.
There it is. Now, why am I playing this particular music? Hail to the Chief. Everybody listening out there, the millions in New York City and around the world. It's because I get the best guests. I tell you I do. And so now, without any further ado, let us bring in the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald Trump. Mr. Trump, thank you for being here, and I just want to congratulate you on a tremendous year. Lots of wins, but your biggest win yet appears to be over hurricanes. Tell us more about it.
Well, thank you, Joe. You know, you're a great guy. There's a lot of people named Joe who aren't very great. You know, you have a sleepy former president who is not very great. He was a nasty person, believe it or not, and he had a lot of problems. But we had a beautiful win. You know, we renamed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America and had 0 hurricanes enter the Gulf. And it's called the Order of the Deal. You know, I got along very well with somebody. You may have heard of her before. Her name is Mother Nature. She's a tremendous person. And we get along very well. You know, we have a long relationship. And she said to me at the beginning of the year, she said, "Sir, there's going to be about 3 to 5 major hurricanes coming to the United States." I said, If you do that, we're going to hit you with tariffs, the likes of which nobody's ever seen before, right?
Wow, yeah.
And she came back and she said, "Sir, we're not going to do it. We're going to keep the hurricanes away." And so we had no hurricanes. We had a lot. They call it wind shear. You look at it, it rips up the storm like the Somalians are ripping up Minnesota. So you have a lot that's going on, and we took care of it. But there were no hurricanes, and we're very happy about it.
You know, it's amazing what's going on in Minnesota, sir, as far as just the leadership they have there, right? There's the goofy 80s sitcom dad, Tim Walz, as its governor. You have Ilhan Omar represents a district in that state. Ilhan, boy, she has quite the taste in men. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, she's a nasty person, and, you know, it looks like she married her brother. A lot of people are talking about it. She married her brother, which is a raw deal for the brother. If you look at it, having to be married to that's a raw deal. It's like Letitia James. She said she was married to her father on the mortgage application.
That's true.
It's a raw deal for the father. And you look at Letitia James, you know, she's a really nasty person, and you could ask yourself, you know, is she married? She's not married, and nobody has to figure out why that is. You look at it, nobody wants to be around that. But same with Ilhan. You look at Ilhan. She was married to the brother. It's a raw deal for the brother. I have to have a chat with the brother and say, you got to make better deals for yourself. You know, you went and you married her, if that's what happened, and terrible mistake. And he knows about it. He knows it's a terrible mistake.
This is true. And we're talking to Shawn Farash. I can't go on anymore, folks. It's so good. I'm willing to bet that 84% of you out there actually thought that we did have President Trump on. That's how great this imitation is. As you know, I've interviewed the real president before for my book, and went to Mar-a-Lago and New Year's Eve and all that fun stuff. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that I could get Trump on the show, and I'm sure I will at some point. But Shawn, I mean, things are really taking off for you. Obviously, the president retweeting out your stuff always helps. When did you know that you could do this imitation?
I figured it out when I was selling the DirecTV packages to customers, and they would ask if they were going to be able to keep Fox News. Really? And I would just break it out and say, I would never take that away. We'd never make you watch the fake news. We'd never let that happen. We're not going to let it happen. And they started laughing, and it was great. And I used it, you know, I worked it in when I used to sell paint. Obviously, a lot of my contractors were blue-collar guys. They loved Trump. They thought it was hilarious. And then got a whole grassroots movement started on Long Island. We had these massive Trump convoys, and a friend of mine told me to do it on TikTok. So I went on. I get along very well with China. So I went on TikTok and did it, and that became how people saw it and found it, and now it's all over the place on X, and they got members of the Trump family who are enjoying the content, so it's always fun.
Absolutely, and you said a Trumpism there before. Certain words that he says slightly different than he does than normally typical people use it. So I say China, you say China, but he says China. He really gets high on that Y in China.
Yeah, he spells it with a Y. It's great. It's China, right? You have to do that. Sometimes I'll be in front of a room and I'll be trying to work the crowd a little bit, and I'll say it, and then I'll go, okay, now you guys got to say it, and the whole room says China. It's great. I did that once to a scam caller. Actually, they called trying to scam me into Comcast or something, and I said, "Do your boxes come from China?" And he said, "No, they don't." He said, "No, they don't come from." And I said, "Say it, China," and he goes, China. And he was really working hard to get to scam, because it wasn't really Comcast, or they would have hung up, but this guy was really working hard to scam me out of something. And I worked with him for a minute, and then, he hung up when he found out that I wasn't going to give him my social security number or something.
Well done. I remember a Simpsons episode from way back when. I'm going to completely date myself on this. But there was a character who was supposed to be Teddy Kennedy, and he kept asking the waiter to say chowder correctly. And he'd say chowder. And that was like a whole thing with my friends, like growing up. Say chowder over and over. But I'm curious, Shawn, you do Trump so well, which means your vocal cords probably can adapt and do other imitations, right? Like Rich Little, the great Rich Little did Reagan, but he would also do Johnny Carson. He did several great imitations. And you see that with imitators, that if they could do one person, they could probably do several. So is there any other imitations in your bag that we should know about?
I dabble in Bernie Sanders. It's not ready for a full launch yet, but I dabble in Bernie Sanders. So the whole thing is, I get that question a lot, and I've always been, it may be hard to believe, but growing up, I was a class clown. I went to school for radio, the whole thing, and entertaining. And people were like, "Oh, class clown, really? I never would have saw that coming." But I did a lot of people's voices in my radio classes and whatnot. This is before he took his own life, obviously, but they nicknamed me Robin Williams in some of my radio classes. I was doing people's voices and dialects and what. So I dabble in Bernie, and that's really where it's at. But the way I look at it is I can imitate the most well-known person in the world. Like, there's no question what I'm doing when I'm doing it. To the point where I've done that in like drive-thrus of McDonald's, and people are like, "This sounds like Trump." So it's a lot of fun. Right now, Trump is the one I focus on because he's obviously the most well-known guy. But I could say I dabble in Bernie. That's the answer.
Interesting. And we're talking to Shawn Farash. Has Fox given you any love as far as having you on, say, Gutfeld, for example? Because I think you'd be perfect for that show.
No, I have yet to hear from them. Jesse Waters, I believe, played the sombrero clip because the president reposted it, which is silly, very surreal. But I've yet to hear from anybody from Fox. So obviously, phone lines are always open, and I'd love to. Gutfeld's a great show. He's got some amazing talent that comes on that show all the time, and I think it would be a lot of fun.
All right. I will mention it to Greg and every other show that is there. No question. So tell us about yourself, right? You lived on Long Island, and then you were smart enough to get out, just like my friend Pete Hegseth, that lived in New Jersey here for a while. Then he went down to Nashville, Tennessee. Tommy Lahren is in Nashville, Tennessee. Clay Travis is in Nashville, Tennessee. It seems to be the hot city these days. But you just recently had an election with Afton Ben, who said she hated country music and hated the city in general, and actually made it a much closer race than people thought. So what's going down in Nashville?
Well, in Tennessee, so we moved to Nashville. We live in Murfreesboro now. It's about 45 minutes southeast. My compass, my directions of Nashville. But so we're not in Tennessee 7, but we were close enough to know what was going on there. And look, special elections are a different animal, right? They're always unpredictable. You saw the two special elections in Florida this year with Matt Gaetz' open seat, Mike Waltz's open seat. Those were 30-point districts. In 2024, they wound up being 15-point races in those special elections, so the margin was cut in half. Special elections all about turnout. Republicans, when Trump isn't on the ballot, have a turnout problem. There's no doubt about that, right? So we got to overcome that issue. Afton Bain, she was a lunatic. She still is a lunatic, and said that she hates the city that she was running to represent, and by the way, currently represents. And it didn't matter, which proves to me that that's not what people care about, especially on the Democrat side. So if there are three things that we could take from it going into the midterms, I would say Republicans have a messaging problem, an apathy problem. And, I think there's a reluctance to playing to win the game. To quote the great, I say great with air quotes, I am a Jets fan, Herman Edwards, you play to win the game. Unfortunately, a lot of Republicans now I feel like are playing not to lose. You'll never win playing that way. We got to get a little tougher and motivate the base a little more. But in Tennessee, it was a 9-point race when all was said and done. Certainly not the nail-biter that was forecast, but definitely closer than it should have been.
I completely agree with that, and it makes you wonder, Shawn, is the Trump magic transferable to the party? And it seems every situation, it seems like it kind of isn't, and the GOP has to get its messaging together. So unfortunately, we only have a minute left. We're going to play out now a great song that you did on blowing up the narco terrorists in the water. I saw this on Twitter right before we came out. I'm like, oh boy, we got to add this. So Shawn, I will thank you on the way out, and thank you to your alter ego, Mr. President. I appreciate it, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Shawn. All right. Let's play it, guys. This is too good.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip that started on the Venezuelan coast aboard this narco ship. The fake news said they were fishermen, but they were Tren de Aragua thugs heading to the United States with a boat full of drugs. A boat full of drugs. Bad hombres decided to F around, so we blew them out of the water. We unleashed our secret weapon, and we dropped Katie Porter.
Oh.
We dropped Katie Porter.
That is so tremendous.
The narco boats were annihilated. Now the fish are high as hell. They got a free meal when the USA chummed the water with the cartels. And I got to look very well, by the way, with Davy Jones. You may have heard of him, Davy Jones. And he has a locker. And anybody who tries to sail drugs into our country, they're getting a one-way trip to Davy Jones' locker.
Wow.
That much I can tell you. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Nothing to add there, guys. He's the best, Shawn Farash. I am Joe Concha. Back with more in just a moment.
Thanks for listening. The Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday Morning Show. You can hear the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday Morning Show. Sunday mornings at 10. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Payne Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.